Okay, exactly 3 p.m. Very good evening. Oh, sorry, good afternoon to all brothers and sisters in the Dhamma. So today is the 17th July 2022, Sunday. So today is also coincide with our very auspicious Kuan Yin's birthday, Kuan Yin Tan. I think the lunar calendar is June 19th, Lagui Chakao. So we had a request from Sister Ingbi, and I also informed Sister Pamasri. So Sister Ingbi will be late, but don't worry. We will be proceeding with our normal puja first. Then after that, when she arrived, then only we will do the actual chanting of the Xin Jing and the Bei Zhou in honor of Kuan Yin's birthday. Okay, so now let us compose our mind, develop the faith, Saddha, Virya, and mindfully we shall commence the puja chanting. Nam mô Bổn Sư释迦牟尼佛。南无本师释迦牟尼佛。南无本师释迦牟尼佛。南无观世音菩萨。南无观世音菩萨。南无观世音菩萨。南无阿弥陀佛。南无阿弥陀佛。南无阿弥陀佛。南无弥勒佛。南无弥勒佛。南无弥勒佛。南无普贤菩萨。南无普贤菩萨。南无普贤菩萨。南无地藏王菩萨。南无地藏王菩萨。南无地藏王菩萨。南无佛菩萨。南无佛菩萨。南无佛菩萨。อะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธภะคะวาพุทธังภะคะวันตังอะภิวาเทมิสวากาโตภะคะวะตาธัมโมธัมมังนะมัสสามิสุปฏิปันโนภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆสังฆังนามามินะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะพุทธังสรณังกัจฉามิธัมมังสรณังกัจฉามิสังฆังสรณังกัจฉามิTutiampi bedang saranang gacchami Tutiampi dhammang saranang gacchami Tutiampi sanghang saranang gacchami Tatiampi bedang saranang gacchami Tatiampi dhammang saranang gacchami Tatiampi sanghang saranang gacchami Panati pata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami Adinadana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami Kamesu miccācara Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami Musavada Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami Suramiraya Majapamadatthana Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami Sadhu Sadhu Sadhu. Okay, we will also make the offering to the triple japa. Today we have prepared all the offerings that is needed, the tray, the lamp, the candle, the incense, the clear water, the fruits, flowers, and other related items. Let us rejoice. Sadhu, 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 sadhu. Okay, then we will chant the Padipa Puja. Then to page 3 of the chanting book. Padipa Puja, offering of light. Ganna sarapa ditena dipena tamadang sina tiloka dipang sambuddhang pujayami tamonodang ganda sambarayutena dopena hang sukang hina pujaye pujaniyang tang puja bhajana mottamang vanna ganda guno petang hetang kasuma santatin pujayami munindasa siri pada sarorohe pujemi bedang kasumena nena punnena matena ca hotu mokang rupang milayati yata idang me kayo tata yati vinasa bhavang adivase tuno bante paniyang parikapitang anukampang upadaya patigan hatu muttamang adivase tuno bante pale parikapitang anukampang upadaya patigan hatu muttamang adivase tuno bante bojanang parikapitang anukampang upadaya patigan hatu muttamang. Okay, now let us chant the puja aspiration based on our understanding of the significance of all these puja offerings. Significance of offering of light. May this offering of light to the Buddha brings forth the causes and conditions to illuminate our mind and help arise the needed clarity and understanding to dispel all darkness or ignorance therein. Significance of offering of water. May this offering of pure, clear, cool water lead us to the pure, clear Dhamma that cools and doses off the fires of all defilements within our mind. Significance of offering of incense. May our morality, virtue, and understanding shine forth far and wide, just like the fragrance of this incense, which we are offering to the Blessed One, who is perfect in wisdom and virtue. Significance of offering of fruits. May this offering of fruits remind us of the Dana Parami of generosity and the fruit of all karma, so that we will diligently strive on with faithfulness to attain the path and fruition as soon as possible. Significance of offering of flowers. May this constant offering of flowers to the Blessed One strengthen our faith and constantly remind us of the impermanence of this body, so that we will diligently and sincerely strive on to cultivate Sila, Samadhi, and Panya, leading to ultimate liberation, the born-free Nirvana, and making of overall aspiration. By the power of all these merits, born of these offerings, may our spiritual faculties of Saddha, Virya, Sati, Samadhi, and Panya be further strengthened until they become balas or power, then sharing and transfer merits to all beings. May these merits be shared and transferred to all beings without exception, especially to those who have the condition and affinity to receive them. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, we also will do the salutation to the Triple Gem. Buddhang Pujami. Dhammang Pujami. Sanghang Pujami. Okay, you all can be seated. Then turn to page 6 of the chanting book. We will do the invocation to the Devas. Invocation to the Devas. In this universe, in their entirety, let the deities or Devas come here. Let them hear the good teachings of the King of Sages, which gives heaven and release, Nibbana. This is the time to listen to the teaching. This is the time to listen to the teaching. This is the time to listen to the teaching. Samanta Chakawalisu Atra Gachantu Devata Saddhammang Muni Rajasa Sunantu Sakamokadang Dhamma Savanan Kalo Ayang Badanta Dhamma Savanan Kalo Ayang Badanta Dhamma Savanan Kalo Ayang Badanta Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Iti peso bhagava arahang samma sambuddho Vijacarana sampano sugato lokavido Anuttaro purisa dhamma sarati satta deva manusanang Buddho Bhagavati Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Sanditiko Akaliko Ehipasiko Opanaiko จาตังเวทิตาโลเวโนหิติสุปฏิปันโนภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆปุจโญปฏิปันโนภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆญายาปฏิปันโนภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆสามีจิปฏิปันโนภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆยาดิดังจัตตาริปุริสโยคานิอัตตปุริสปุกาลาเอสาภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆอาหุเนโยปาหุเนโยดักเกเนโยอัญญาลิการะเนโยอนุตตรังปุญญังเกตังโลกัสสาธิสาธุสาธุสาธุ Okay, very good. You can be seated. And I think Sister Invidia's arrived not long ago. And she make an offering. We rejoice with the offering. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So the timing is just nice. Like we said, today our Sunday class happened to coincide with our Great Being Kuan Yin's birthday, Kuan Yin Tan. So the lunar calendar is June 19, whereas the English calendar is 17th of July 2022. So together, as we had planned, we will respectfully in honor of Kuan Yin, chant the Bei Zhou, followed by the Xin Jing. I think we will do it 3 times. 3 times. Okay, page 19 of the chanting book.
发誓耶帝，摩诃发誓耶帝，多来多来帝利尼，是佛来耶，遮来遮来，摩摩发摩来，因悉利依悉依悉是那是那。而来生佛来舍利发沙发生佛来舍耶，呼噜呼噜摩来，呼噜呼噜悉利娑来娑来，悉利悉利苏噜苏噜，菩提耶菩提耶，菩陀耶菩陀耶，弥帝利耶那来金持帝利舍利那，陀耶摩那萨婆诃，悉陀耶萨婆诃，摩诃悉陀耶萨婆诃，悉陀喻喻斯盘来耶萨婆诃，那来金持萨婆诃，摩来那来萨婆诃，悉来生阿穆切耶萨婆诃，萨婆摩诃阿悉多耶萨婆诃，遮其来阿悉多耶萨婆诃，陀陀摩切悉多耶萨婆诃，那来金持盘切来耶萨婆诃，南无阿来丹那多来耶耶，南无阿利耶，婆卢揭谛僧盘来耶萨婆诃，安息天多曼多来巴多耶萨婆诃，南无阿来丹那多来耶耶，南无阿利耶，婆卢揭谛娑婆来耶，菩提萨埵婆耶，摩诃萨埵婆耶，摩诃迦卢尼迦耶，安萨婆来法语，苏丹那丹谢，南无悉吉利多伊蒙阿利耶，婆卢揭谛是佛来人婆婆，南无那来金持悉利摩诃般多萨灭，萨婆阿他都是空，二十因萨婆萨多，南无婆萨多，南无婆伽摩法特多，但知他安阿婆卢悉卢迦提迦卢帝，依悉利摩诃菩提萨埵，萨婆萨婆摩来摩来，摩悉摩悉利多云，居卢居卢羯嘛，嘟噜嘟噜发舍耶帝，摩诃发舍耶帝，多来多来帝利尼，是佛来耶，遮来遮来，摩摩发摩来，目的利益悉悉，是那是那而来生佛来舍耶，发舍发生佛来舍耶，呼噜呼噜摩来，呼噜呼噜悉利，娑来娑来悉利悉利，苏噜苏噜菩提耶菩提耶，菩陀耶菩陀耶，弥帝利耶那来金持帝利舍利那，婆耶摩那萨婆诃，悉陀耶萨婆诃，摩诃悉陀耶萨婆诃，悉陀喻因斯盘来耶萨婆诃，那来金持萨婆诃，摩来那来萨婆诃，悉来生阿穆切耶萨婆诃，萨婆摩诃阿悉多耶 萨婆诃，遮吉来阿悉多耶萨婆诃，婆陀摩揭悉多耶萨婆诃，那来金持盘切来耶萨婆诃，摩诃利胜切来耶萨婆诃，南无喝来怛那多来耶耶，南无阿利耶婆卢揭谛舍檀来耶萨婆诃，安悉颠多曼多来巴多耶萨婆诃，摩诃来怛那多来耶耶，南无阿利耶婆卢揭谛舍婆来耶，菩提萨埵婆耶，摩诃萨埵婆耶，摩诃迦卢尼迦耶，安萨婆剌法音苏怛那怛谢，南无悉吉利多伊蒙阿利耶，婆卢揭谛是佛来人陀婆，南无那来金持悉利摩诃洹多沙灭娑婆诃他都是他，二十音娑婆萨埵，南无婆萨埵，南无婆伽摩法特多，怛侄他安阿婆卢悉卢迦帝迦卢帝依悉利摩诃菩提萨埵，娑婆娑婆摩来摩来，摩悉摩悉利多云俱卢俱卢羯摩，嘟噜嘟噜发舍耶帝，摩诃发舍耶帝，多来多来帝利尼是佛来耶，遮来摩摩发摩来，目的利益悉是乃阿来生佛来舍利，发舍佛来舍耶，呼噜摩来呼噜悉利，娑来悉利苏噜菩提耶菩陀耶弥帝利耶，那来金持帝利舍尼那，婆耶摩那萨婆诃，悉多耶萨婆诃，摩诃悉多耶萨婆诃，悉多云斯檀来耶萨婆诃，那来金持萨婆诃，摩来那来萨婆诃，悉来生阿穆切耶萨婆诃，萨婆摩诃阿悉多耶萨婆诃，遮吉来阿悉多耶萨婆诃，婆陀摩揭悉多耶萨婆诃，那来金持盘切来耶萨婆诃，摩诃利胜切来耶萨婆诃，南无喝来怛那多来耶耶，南无阿利耶婆卢揭谛舍盘来耶萨婆诃。
Okay, then the heart sutta.
揭谛波罗揭谛波罗僧，揭谛菩提萨婆诃，揭谛波罗揭谛波罗僧，揭谛菩提萨婆诃。揭谛波 是诸法空相不生不灭不空不净不增不减，是故空中无色无受想行识，无眼耳鼻舌身意，无色声香味触法，无眼界乃至无意识界，无名亦无明尽，乃至无老死亦无老死尽，无苦集灭道无智义，无得义无所得故，菩提萨埵依般若波罗蜜多故，心无挂碍，无挂碍故，无有空故，远离颠倒梦想，究竟涅槃三世诸佛依般若波罗蜜多故得阿耨多罗三藐三菩提故知般若波罗蜜多是大神咒，是大明咒，是无上咒，是无等等咒，能除一切苦，真实不虚。故说般若波罗蜜多咒偈说，咒曰：揭谛揭谛波罗揭谛波罗僧，揭谛菩提萨婆诃，揭谛揭谛波罗揭谛波罗僧，揭谛菩提萨婆诃，揭谛揭谛波罗揭谛波罗僧，揭谛菩提萨婆诃。观自在菩萨，心生般若波罗蜜多时，照见五蕴皆空，度一切苦厄。舍利子，色不异空，空不异色，色即是空，空即是色。受想行识亦复如是，舍利子，是诸法空相不生不灭不垢不净不增不减，是故空中无色无受想行识，无眼耳鼻舌身意，无色声香味触法，无眼界乃至无意识界，无明亦无明尽，乃至无老死亦无老死尽，无苦集灭道无智义，无得义无所得故，菩提萨埵依般若波罗蜜多故，心 向究竟涅槃三世诸佛以般若波罗蜜多故得阿耨多罗三藐三菩提故知般若波罗蜜多是大神咒，是大明咒，是无上咒，是无等等咒，能除一切苦，真实不虚。不说般若波罗蜜多咒即说，咒曰：揭谛揭谛波罗揭谛波罗僧，揭谛菩提萨婆诃，揭谛揭谛波罗揭谛波罗僧，揭谛菩提萨婆诃，揭谛揭谛波罗揭谛波罗僧，揭谛菩提萨婆诃。观自在菩萨心生般若波罗蜜多时，照见五蕴皆空，度一切苦厄。舍利子，色不异空，空不异色，色即是空，空即是色。受想行识亦复如是。舍利子，是诸法空相，不生不灭，不垢不净，不增不减。是故空中无色无受想行识，无眼耳鼻舌身意，无色声香味触法，无眼界乃至无意识界，无明亦无明尽，乃至无老死亦无老死尽。无苦集灭道，无智亦无得亦无所得故，菩提萨埵依般若波罗蜜多故，心无挂碍，无挂碍故，无有空故。远离颠倒梦想，究竟涅槃三世诸佛以般若波罗蜜多故得阿耨多罗三藐三菩提故知般若波罗蜜多是大神咒，是大明咒，是无上咒，是无等等咒，能除一切苦，真实不虚。不说般若波罗蜜多咒即说，咒曰：揭谛揭谛波罗揭谛波罗僧，揭谛菩提萨婆诃，揭谛揭谛波罗揭谛波罗僧，揭谛菩提萨婆诃，揭谛揭谛波罗揭谛波罗僧，揭谛菩提萨婆诃。
Okay, so let us rejoice. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, we are now ready to commence our Dhamma sharing. So, Sunday class, as usual, we will be continuing our sharing from this book. Lesson 71, Sutra of Infinite Meaning, 无量义经, dated 24 August 2021. We are at page 23. So, top paragraph, page 23. Second paragraph. This book is a very, very good transcript book. You all should off and on read it, refer to it, reflect, contemplate, and silence your mind, to develop the deep understanding. So now I will continue from where we stopped. So as we learn the Buddha's way, we are learning the methods for uncovering this treasure trove within ourselves. So like I explained the other day, the text actually only mentioned treasure, never have the word trove, but it should be the treasure trove within ourselves. Then here they use the word method. It is okay if you understand the word, but the word does not imply the rigidity of what method is, because it is like an understanding. We are learning the understanding for uncovering this treasure trove within ourselves instead of using the word method. Your method and technique, as I say, is a series of instructions to do things. It is not the meditation. It may not lead to the understanding. So the understanding comes from the true silent awareness that listen and understand. It has nothing to do with methods and technique. It is how we understand the Buddha's way, and how we can realize that gateway to our true nature, thereby enabling us to gain access to realize the treasure trove within. I already know. In a way, this is very true. When we give rise to an unwholesome thought, that thought destroys the seed of goodness. This one we have gone through the last Sunday. So when we are cultivating, we have to be ever mindful. Like the Buddha said, all evil has to be avoided. So you have to avoid all evil, because the danger of non-avoiding evil is very, very severe. Just like what is mentioned in the Sutra of Infinite Meaning. When we give rise to an unwholesome thought, that thought destroys the seed of goodness, means evil conditioned negativity, unless you know how to break it through silent awareness. When you aware, you stop the momentum of deluded thinking. That's how you break. Then when you break, you return to your silent mind. But most people cannot, because of the heedless thinking, the delusion, the habitual tendency. So their thought continue to manifest, proliferate, and condition them into negativity. So when you are a cultivator with mindfulness and awareness, when you see all this, then this statement will become very clear to you. Then you will know you can never do it again, because there is delusion. So I read through again. When we give rise to an unwholesome thought, that thought destroys the seeds of goodness. If we give rise to a single unwholesome thought, the seed of goodness cannot be planted in our mind, because that is the conditioning. This is like when a field's soil is littered with trash. This prevents the nutrient in the soil from being properly absorbed. Even if the field is tilted and seeds are sown, nothing will sprout. The same applies to the field of our mind. We need to diligently cultivate the mind. So it will not give rise to an unwholesome thought. Otherwise, not only will the seed of goodness not sprout and grow, but they will also be ruined. So this is a sutta part. Then I explain it further for clarity and deeper understanding. So like I always share with you all, our mind is very important. Just like the Buddha say, our mind is the forerunner of all things. Mind is sheep. When mind arises, all things arise. So a very good analogy is to use the analogy of a garden in our house or in your house as an example. I think in one of the retreat, we use the example. When I received a link which my daughter told me about that guy, I forgot his name again. Yeah, correct. He was the guy who talked about virtue, love, compassion. It's okay. Then I happened to be at Camera Highland giving the retreat, and I Googled. Then I got what he mentioned. Then I straight away understood what that thing is. Then after that, my contemplative, creative nature came out with this analogy, which is like the garden in our house. You go back. I will read from the sharing, then you will understand. So like I always share with you, our mind is very important. A very good analogy is to use the analogy of our garden or your garden in your house. If you have some empty land, do you know what is a garden? What a garden is? If you don't take care of the garden, you don't weed it, trim it, or clear the lalans or vegetation and allow it to be invaded by all this untidy undergrowth of weeds and wild plants, there is no way you can have a proper garden. So to have a proper garden, you must look after it, manage it well, maintain it well. Then initially, this weeding, or you have to do pulling out the weeds and clearing the lalang and all those things. These are the things you have to do. So initially, before you even start the purification process, you need to know these are evil, these are harmful for the mind. So we need to actually clean it up, root it out, then get ready the soil for proper conducive cultivation of the whatever garden plants that we want to cultivate. So to take care of the mind is the same. We must clear whatever unwholesome thought within, whatever wrong thought that has arisen within. Then you must give it space. You must not clutter the mind with a lot of belief systems, tradition, or taboos, superstitions, rites and ritual. So this part is very important. All this prevents movement, prevents freedom, prevents the mind from having that energy, that clarity. When there is no space, no energy, there is no clarity, there is no creativity. Just the brain becomes cluttered. Cluttered with what? All the wrong thought, the wrong emotion. That's why in the early days when I wanted to share with you all, I realized the opposite is true. What the Sutra taught you all is just how to arise right thought. And they limit it to just the 4 Brahma Vihara, which is metta or loving kindness, karuna or compassion, then mudita or sympathetic joy, and upekkha or equanimity of mind. These are the 4 Brahma Vihara, where the Brahma likes to reside on these 4 type of mind state. They are beautiful, wholesome. But there are a lot more right thought beyond these 4. All of your virtuous thought, kind, gentle, pleasant, sincerity, thoughtfulness, even gratitude, contentment, they are right thought because they don't have the evil roots of greed, hatred, and delusion. But by nature knew it is more important to understand what constitutes wrong thought. When you understand what constitutes wrong thought, then you can do something about it. That's why I use the word. Whenever you are unhappy and not peaceful, the wrong thoughts are there. Why? Wrong thoughts are thoughts that have the evil roots of greed, hatred, and delusion. These 3 evil roots, they are the root of all evil. And when they are there, the mental, spiritual faculty are gone. And instead, the opposite 5 mental hindrances will arise. And when these mental hindrances arise, they will hinder your mind from entering the meditative state of inner peace, inner calmness, and inner awareness. That's why you cannot meditate. You will develop all the mental hindrances, especially restlessness of mind, doubt, sleepiness of mind, sloth and torpor. Then, sensual desire, you will almost every moment, every instant, you arise them. So these are all wrong thought that has the evil that leads to suffering. That's why I help you all define what are wrong thought. Thought that condition your fear, your worry, your anxiety, your sorrow, your lamentation, your phobia, your insecurity, your lack of peace, your unhappiness. And also thoughts that condition you into negativity, selfishness, delusion, and even emotional negativity, your anger, your hatred, your jealousy. All these are wrong thoughts. So if you look at this whole spectrum of wrong thought, means you are miserable, you are suffering, you are really, really unhappy. And most of the time is you have fear. Fear trigger of worry, anxiety, sorrow, lamentation. That's how we will go into depression and all those things. That's why I simplify all this understanding by telling you, whenever you are unhappy and not peaceful, the evil roots are there, the wrong thoughts are there. Then you can cultivate. Then you can be aware. So the moment you become aware of all this negativity, like the 4 foundation of mindfulness, Chitta-nupassana, and also Dhamma-nupassana, the first 2 categories. When the 5 mental hindrances are there, aware. When the 5 aggregates of form and mind are there, aware. When the mind has greed, has hatred, has delusion, aware. This is what you're supposed to do. Then when the wrong thought is there, apply the 4 right effort to abandon them. So the first right effort is the right effort to abandon the wrong thought, wrong speech, wrong action, and wrong way of living life by applying the 5 ways to overcome unwholesome thought or wrong thought. And out of these 5, which the Buddha has taught us, the first 2 are thought-based. So that one, if you really want to understand, just like intellect, you can develop the understanding. It will help you in some way initially. But the more important one are the 3rd and 4th way, which is awareness-based meditation, the meditative training. The 3rd way is to aware Stay with it, like the Satipatthana Sutra. When they arise, aware, means don't do anything. Silent. Develop the awareness of it. Be with it. One with it. Then see what happens. It is the awareness, that purifying force, that pure energy will prevent mental movement, because that one is without words, without concept, without delusion, without ignorance, without any duality. So awareness is a purifying virtuous force, is a pure energy. Everything will burn and melt inside. So when you allow it to flower through the awareness, by not allowing the thought to move through delusion, because when you are aware, you are just tranquil, still. That nature is beautiful, silently observing, no movement. Then you realize all this starts to dissipate and cease. Then in that silent observation, you awaken that the wrong thought, which can be anger or hatred or fear or delusion, they are dependent originating, condition arising, causal phenomena. If I don't do anything, it ceases to be. Why? When condition ceases to be, it ceases to be. That is what the condition world is all about. Where everything is in a state of flux, dependent originating, condition arising, causal phenomena. Without condition, nothing happens. Like the Buddha said, whatever that arises, there are definitely causes and conditions behind. If you are mindful, aware, and you can witness it, then you will know the cause of the arising. Like the Satipatthana Sutta, how the unwholesome thought comes to be, how the mental hindrance comes to be, how the aggregates of mind comes to be, the unarisen one, how they arise. Then when you continue to be aware, don't do anything, then you come to know how the arisen mental hindrance is to be. That is what awareness-based meditation is all about. Don't do anything. Then the fourth way is to trace the origination factor. Before the anger is there, before fear is there, before the unwholesome thought is there was none. Originally, your true mind has none of all this. Then how did it arise? Through your senses, you will trace it. Especially when you maintain mindfulness, when you are able to be mindful of the internal six sense basis and the external six sense basis. The internal six sense basis are our senses, the five physical senses and the brain, the sixth sense door. When you are mindful there, the external sense data, which are the respective sense data, they will come in and make contact. Then upon contact, what happens? If you are mindful, aware within, you will see the movement, the paticca samuppada. Then the whole paticca samuppada, the dwelling, you will understand it not through the words, not through the text. You understand it there and then with direct experiential realization. The silent mind is aware, saw the movement and awakened to it. That's how awareness-based meditation insight into phenomena and awaken. And through that, it can see things as they are, triggering of the direct seeing, the pure seeing, that all the words described in the Sutra, shared by enlightened beings, can be understood. Because this teaching comes from the silent mind, the awareness nature within. That's why meditation starts with sati, awareness, leading to heedfulness. Without this, you can't develop the awakening, the understanding. So hopefully with today's expanded explanation, you all can develop the understanding. Then you all will understand why in the early day I teach you to develop the understanding of what constitutes wrong thought. And I give you the summary of the understanding. Whenever you are unhappy, not peaceful, the evil roots are there, the wrong thoughts are there, the mental hindrances are there. Then from there, you can be watchful, aware, and arise the four right effort to abandon through the third and fourth way to develop the wisdom. Then after that, the second right effort becomes easy. The second right effort is to arise the right effort to prevent the arising of the wrong thought, wrong speech, and wrong action. But without the first right effort being properly developed through the third and fourth way, you cannot have the ability to arise the second right effort. You cannot stop it. Yeah, you are incapable of being aware of it. And even you are able to develop the awareness of it, but without the initial wisdom, if you are not heedful and mindful, you cannot develop the initial wisdom, which is Yoniso Manasikara. You also can't deal with it. So this second right effort comes from the first right effort after you have developed the initial wisdom to understand what is going on. Then through that, the fourth way, when you understand the origination factor, retrospectively, you can reflect, contemplate, and with that creative silent mind, straighten your view to awaken to it. Then when you straighten your view, you will have the wisdom stabilized. Then this wisdom, Yoniso Manasikara, when it stabilized, it will spontaneously manifest at the moment of sense experience, at the moment of seeing, hearing, smell, taste, tactile, or thought process. It will arise. And when it arises, the delusion cannot carry through anymore. Because you have contemplated, you have reflected, you have awakened to them. Then when they surface again, it will, like the essential Dhamma, the Yoniso Manasikara, is a purifying force. It will prevent the mind from stirring, reacting, and being caught in the delusion. That's how without Yoniso Manasikara, you cannot move. The Avijja Sutta also mentioned it very clearly. Before that, you cannot have sense restraint. You cannot keep your precept well. But after you have the initial wisdom, Yoniso Manasikara, the sense restraint is automatic. The mind does not stir, does not move. That's how the sixth step of the Avijja Sutta come about. When you have sense restraint, means you can keep the precept ready. And then after that, you can arise the third right effort to go to the seventh step, to arise the three types of right conduct: right speech, right action, and right thought. So now you see all the teaching, they are connected. So the third right effort is, the Buddha say, right effort to cultivate the virtuous thought, the right thought, the wholesome thought that are still not in you. That's why you develop the training to cultivate right thought, right speech, right action. And that is a big field. What constitutes right thought? Right speech. You need to train them. You need to go into life to cultivate it, to develop the ability to express it. Because knowing and able to live it are two different things. The knowing is initial. But when you have stabilized the understanding, it becomes a living reality. That's why you can live it. And all this can be done. That's why after that, the three type of right thought, right speech, right action can arise. But initially, the third right effort is just the right effort to develop the right thought, right speech, right action that are still not in you. Means you already beginning to develop the ability to arise them, but you have not stabilized them. That's why you need the fourth right effort. The fourth right effort to me is not only, they always use the other word to define it, maintain maintain. If you understand the teaching, what the Buddha meant is different. To me, the fourth right effort is to refine upon whatever right thought, right speech, right action that you have already developed and stabilize it until you can develop the stability of it to become a living reality. Means the fourth right effort is to stabilize all this understanding. Means refine upon it until you can perfect them. So once you finish the third and the fourth right effort, your stability of right thought, right speech, right action is there. Then step 7 can be completed. Means the 3 types of right conduct, you can arise them anytime, all the time. By then, you are at least a Sakadagami. Because even at step 6, sense restraint, you are at least a Sotapan already. Then after that, Sakadagami. Then after that, only step 8, you go and cultivate mindfulness of the 4 foundation of mindfulness. When you realize that cultivation, the 4 foundation of mindfulness, that's why in the final expression, the Buddha said, you will realize at least anagami. Otherwise, you will become an arahant. That's how the teaching is actually been established and taught. And there is no contradiction at all. Everything is just the way it is. That's why you know how to connect and link. When the Buddha said, when he is not around, you refer to the Sutra and the Vinaya to be your teacher. So Sutra here means they are all connected, interconnected, no discrepancy, nothing. Whatever that show discrepancy, then that one you have to really be careful. You cannot believe. You have to investigate and find out. That's why for cultivator of the way, Dhamma or the truth can be realized each by the wise for themselves, Pacetang. And this Dhamma is also ehipasiko, can be investigated upon. Here is the truth. It will stand up to investigation. So all this will prevent you from making mistake. That's why when you chant the salutation to the Dhamma, Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Sanditiko Akaliko Ehipasiko Opanayiko Pacetang Veditampo Vinohiti. All this must fall into place. Otherwise, it's not the Dhamma, it's taught by the Buddha. Any of these characteristics not there, it is not the teachings of the Buddha. So with this, hopefully, by now the understanding can be very different, very clear. Okay, we go back to the sharing. So now I read to you again the sharing just now, you understand. To take care of the mind is the same. Listen, you must clear whatever unwholesome thought within, whatever wrong thought within. So this one you already know. Your mind is a foreigner, all thing, mind is she, when mind arise, all thing arise. If you don't take care of mind, Dhammapada was 1 will take its course, suffering will follow you. In your life, you hold the key to your own life destiny, you decide. If you choose to be heedless, that's what you will end up with, suffering. But if you choose to be heedful, you train your mind, develop the training of the mind to cultivate the mind. Then you will act, speak, and think with a wholesome mind, free of the evil roots of greed, hatred, and delusion. Then happiness will follow you, like the shadow that never leaves you. That's why you must abandon the wrong thought, the unwholesome thought, whatever negativity that is within. If you do that, it's like you prepare your garden. You clear all this wrong thought, unwholesome, lalang, whatever undergrowth that is not conducive, you clear them. Then what will happen? Then you will have space. You will have clarity. You will have a conducive land for you to start the cultivation, the planting, and all those things. So the mind is the same. You can take care of mind and clear all this unwholesome thought or wrong thought, then you will have space. So here I say, you must give it space, means referring to the mind. If you don't give it space, means there is no space within thought. What will happen? Then your mind will be cluttered with a lot of what? Thinking. And this thinking comes from what? Your belief system. Now you understand. I'm a Buddhist, I'm a Christian. This belief system create a lot of conditioning. Your tradition, I'm a Chinese, I'm an Indian, I'm a Hindu. So this tradition, whatever tradition you're from, or taboo, or superstition, or rites and ritual, they create a lot of what they call delusion. They condition you into delusion to grasp and cling and to hold on to this tradition, belief system, taboo, superstition, right, and ritual. And you cannot move. Whatever you want to do, they say no. Tradition say cannot. Right, and ritual say cannot. You cannot step on this. You cannot step on that. Now, what day, you must not do this. All this become right and ritual, belief system, superstition. At night cannot go out. Dark area got ghosts. Who say all this? Tradition, belief system, all your superstition, your rites and ritual. So this one prevents movement, trigger of fear, prevent understanding. So all this that clutter your mind has to go. That's why you must have space, awareness, mindfulness, stability of it to extend that space. When you have space, you don't have all this unnecessary thought. Your mind is not cluttered. Your mind is tranquil, still, with clarity, unclouded by any of your mental hindrance, ignorance, wrong thought, fear, phobia, views, opinion, conditioning. All these are gone. Because all this prevents movement, prevents freedom, prevents creativity. It's like you don't have space to move. It's just like at home. When you have a lot of furniture, you have a table, you put a lot of things on the table. Take, for example, the altar. It's the best. If there is no space, you can't even move. But if there is space, and you have developed the furniture in an orderly and very neatly placed layout, then you can still put in certain items that you like. Then you can still move around because there is space. Space is energy. Energy allows freedom of action and movement. So with space, there is also clarity, creativity. Then you can reflect, contemplate. Then your brain is not cluttered. And the energy is pure energy, which is important. Your true mind, your silent mind, your nature's energy. So space is what the mind needs. Especially space within thought to break the momentum of deluded thought, heedless thinking. Space between whatever sankhara or mental activity that has arisen. When there is space, there is this beautiful pure energy from the nature. When there is no space, it means you are lost in thought, heedless, cluttered with all the ignorant, heedless thinking, giving rise to wrong thought. Space is awareness. Awareness is silence, stillness, tranquility. That is your true mind, your silent mind, your nature. So space is needed to realize the meditative mind. So hopefully with this understanding, it can help you all develop the cultivation. Okay? Yeah. Then I will read on and see what the text has shared. Then the Wu Liang Yi Jing continue. On the other hand, when we give rise to a wholesome thought, that thought destroys countless evil, which is very true, the opposite of it. If we can form and sustain a wholesome thought, even if we still have many habitual tendencies or unwholesome thoughts, this can be slowly eliminated. See, it's written in the Wu Liang Yi Jing, the Sutra. Your habitual tendency, your unwholesome thought, they may still be there, but no problem. Because if you have wholesome thought, then they can be slowly eliminated. Because that is the beginning of cultivation, beginning of transformation. Then we will no longer be tinted by the negative causes that surround us and would have caused us to become more deeply ensnared, made trapped. Since good and evil arise and cease in opposition to each other, when a bit of evil arises, a bit of goodness is destroyed. By continuing to sustain the wholesome thought, even evil as numerous as the sand on the Ganges can be eliminated one by one. So that is the power of cultivating the right thought, abandoning the wrong thought, preventing from right. The four right effort, constantly cultivated and developed, can give rise to this understanding. Then I explain. This one is given as an analogy only. The actual happening is after you have developed wisdom, right view, and right understanding, only then you can root it out, to root out all this. You don't have to root it out one by one, especially your habitual tendency. So all this wrong thought, habitual tendency or whatever, you can only deal with it when there is wisdom. And when wisdom arises, it is not one by one. The wisdom is an understanding. It's not rigid. It's not like intellectual. It's not a knowledge. It is the understanding that allows you to root out completely all negativity. That's why this part is very important. It will just go when the wisdom is there. Before that, it may be very difficult. You can go and try all the thought base, no use. Suppress it, control it, come out with ideology or come out with means, the reasoning, the what they call analysis to deal with it, or the theoretical intellectual understanding. Cannot. You have gone through, I believe, by now, all the things that they used to teach you. Go and investigate into it and find out. Does it work? It doesn't work. You will come to that understanding. That's why the Buddha said, ehi pasiko. Okay, I read on. The same applies to karma. It is often said, the Sutta says, we take nothing with us when we die. Lai ye kong, chi ye kong. Only karma follows us to our next life. The karma we have in this life is what we brought with us. If we can encounter good conditions, negative causes and conditions can be dispelled. But if we do not give rise to wholesome thought, even if we encounter good conditions, we will not be able to make use of them. That's why we need to be heedful. Therefore, we must constantly nurture a wholesome thought of mind. This description by the Sutta is beautiful. New things constantly arise and cease. which is very true. And then arise again, continuing endlessly to give rise to good and evil phenomena. So that is what nature is. Within nature, we can see the ups and downs of life. We can see a witness phenomenon. The way people perceive it is all different. That's why you will constantly give rise to duality, which we call good and evil phenomena. The Buddha come to this world to explain the difference between these two, so that we can cultivate the field of blessings with wisdom and good deed. So remember this intent of the Buddha. So this title is very unique, very special. If you understand, it will help you develop profound wisdom. When we go through life, when we develop the ability to observe nature, we realize every moment, every instant, new things arise. We constantly arise, even within our own life, our own society, our own country, and the world. Every moment, every instant, phenomena arise, new things arise, and they continuously evolve. Then there is a lot of duality. All this arising and passing away will continue endlessly. That's why you have this duality. Sometimes if things go your way, there is joy, there is happiness, and there is a celebration. When there is this good occasion to celebrate or do something wholesome, it can give rise to joy and happiness. But when there is a catastrophe, when there is war, riots, or whatever, like what happened recently, I think a lot of bad weather, heavy flood, bushfire, nature's disaster, and war happening everywhere. Then there is this political situation, scenario, and crisis that arise due to world conflict, misunderstanding, economic problems, and humanitarian crisis. The world is full of all these issues and problems. So how do we develop understanding to free our mind so that we can stand above all this and make use of it to develop the wholesomeness, to be a blessing to all, and to improve on the totality of our planet's consciousness? Like J. Krishnamurti said, to change, the society must change. And for society to change, the individual must change. When the individual change, the totality has a possibility of change. Unless the individual changes, the totality can never change. Because the totality is the massive movement of the totality of consciousness, movement of this collective consciousness, which can condition the weak mind, the deluded, to move in certain pattern. That's how a lot of cults and cults with different views, opinion, and racist ideology like Trumpism can arise to influence humanity and create a lot of problem for the world. You look at the United States, they have so much problem, the racial problem, the various type of conflict between politicians. You have the Republican and the Democrats, the religious grouping, the fanatics. You have the Democrats and Republicans always fighting. Then you have the issue of too easy access to weapon possession, threatening the American society. Sometimes the individual can just, maybe because they have this funny thinking, they can just take out their weapon and shoot around. A lot of these illegal, unlawful killing are happening. And this is happening very often, not a rare occasion. But it is happening almost every week within the United States, even in some European countries. Then there are war-torn countries having conflict, civil war, and economic crisis. So all these are happening in the world. So as a cultivator, as an individual, how do we develop understanding of all this? And how do we move and act so that we can be a blessing to all? So that this is, so this is what Dhamma is. the topic is, so we go back to the adapted verse. I think we can stop here for 32 already. Okay, mark this page. Page 26. Oh, 27. Okay, we are now off the line and we can have half an hour of awareness-based meditation instead of the usual 45 minutes, because today is Kuan and we have taken some time to do the chanting. So we try to set back 15 minutes so that we can still have our Q&A and meditation reporting and Dhamma Sharing, the second session after the meditation. Okay, I will on the set the alarm for 30 minutes, awareness-based meditation. So you all can start your meditation now. Remember, awareness-based meditation is to train ourselves to develop the inner awareness, then stabilize it and use it to meditate, to develop the understanding. Okay, so the four support: relax, maintain awareness, then maintain awareness for 24 hours, then finally trust. Okay. Okay. You can slowly, mindfully come out of meditation. Then we can have our meditation reporting, followed by whatever question or answer that you all may have. Okay. Today we have covered quite a good topic regarding the continuation of the previous Sunday title, Sutra Sharing. It's about how do we develop the understanding of Dhamma training? How do we cultivate the understanding to move on to actual cultivation? So the analogy that is given to cultivate the mind is like we cultivate our garden. If you want to have a proper garden, then you have to take care of it. You have to do some basic important things like the weeding and all those things. Then after that, when you prepare your ground ready, then you develop the mindfulness to plant them so that they are orderly. They become the garden that you intend to have, and they are conducive. Then for those who have the understanding, if you look at mind, it's the same, except now we are not dealing with the plants. We are dealing with our mundane mind, our thinking mind. This mundane mind, without understanding, without wisdom, it will become heedless. It will create entanglement. Then you will get yourself ensnared in the delusion. Then the evil result manifests. Then the whole mundane mind becomes cluttered with thought process, thinking. And this thought process, most of them are your wrong thought, your heedless thinking, because you have not developed the understanding of what truth is, the essential Dhamma. You have not developed the understanding of the nature's law that governs life and existence, especially the spiritual law. Then you have not understood the essential Dhamma or the important teachings of Lord Buddha. So all these are very important, understanding and similarity. Then when you apply it to mind cultivation, it becomes easy, it becomes clearer. Then you can have very solid understanding of what this teaching is and how to develop it. So this particular transcript book is very good. Go through it, read through it, then you will develop the understanding. Okay, now we open up for meditation reporting, and at the same time, you have any question, you can ask, or you can also share your Dhamma in daily life experience. Anybody who wants to come in? Yeah, English.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Teo Sui. Thank you very much, Sister Pamosuri, for supporting my idea of coming here to have this Bei Zhou and Xin Jing chanting on this Nam Mô Đại慈大悲救苦救难广大灵感观世音菩萨的成道日。Without Pamosuri, I can't do it.
Yeah, she very familiar with both the chanting. I think these last 2 years, she must have put in a lot of training. So no need to look at the book. Actually, especially the Bei Zhou, not easy unless you have the interest. You develop the training. It's not easy. Xin Jing, most people can do it. Yeah.
It is much long before this MCO 2 years. Sister Pamosuri has been able to chant without looking at books many years ago.
Yeah.
That was fascinating. Very fascinating. I was fascinated. And I am still fascinated. Must ask her to share her secret how to memorize such a long Bei Zhou.
Bei Zhou chanting.
Yeah. Then I remember last time when I first heard about Bei Zhou in Cameron Highlands Retreat, I think.
Yes.
Then that's how I made determination to try to learn the chant of Bei Zhou and Xin Jing also at that time. I think that was the first time I came across this Bei Zhou. I heard of it before, but I never really want to put in effort to learn. The easiest one is the Dharani,
that one
Mahakarunika Dharani. That one is easier. Yeah. So maybe I invite Sister Pamosuri to share with us how to chant the Bei Zhou without looking at the books. I really don't know how to do it.
How she did it.
Good afternoon, Brother Teo, Mrs. Teo, Sister Sui, Sister Ingbi. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to come here today to do the Bei Zhou. Okay, actually, when I first started to chant Bei Zhou, it was like about 30 over years ago when I first met Bei Zhou, when we have a student house and all of us, we sit together every week, we chant. At that time, I met a lot of difficulties because the word cannot come out. Also, it was quite tough. I went through quite a tough time to follow. And until recently, I think 3 years ago, this Fa Gu San, they were shifting their temples. They were shifting their temple from PJ New Town to this SS50, the new premise. So they have some problem when shifting during the renovation. So they met some problem. So this nun who is in charge of the whole temple, she requests for us to help to chant Bei Zhou to smoothen the process of renovation of shifting, because the project has been dragging and they have some obstacles. So she asked all the devotees to come in and help. So she suggested everybody help to chant 21 times a day. So at first I tried. It was quite tough. It took quite a long time. So I chanted so for about, I think 200 over days.
Oh,
We did it for 200 over days, 21 times a day.
Okay.
So from there,
No wonder.
I start. I can remember.
Sadhu. Yeah,
I have affinity with this.
Continuous training. Yeah.
I have faith because when I first went to Fakusan in this Taiwan,
Sadhu.
I got my this first Mahayana, the Kui Yi. So during the Kui Yi ceremony, I was in tears and
the Hai Ching.
the Hai Ching. I was in Hai Ching, and then I was really in tears. It's like a long lost child found mother, and they were chanting, this Bei Zhou. So I have a strong faith, and then recently, when I went to this Ling San, when Sifu Xin just first saw us, the first thing he told us, you chant Bei Zhou 108 times a day. So life after life, you will be, you will have strong affinity with Kuan Yin, and you will be protected. You will be blessed.
That is very true.
By Kuan Yin. So whether that's his advice, and so I started 2.5 years ago. 108 times a day. But retreat, I don't do it during retreat. Only more normal days. So it's like very fast now. If you chant from the heart, it's less than a minute. One round is less than a minute, and it's sort of like it go by it run by the thing run by itself already. So
like on auto speed.
It's like on auto mode already. The moment you press the button, the chanting come already. So he encouraged us to chant 100,000 times. 100,000 times. He said, life after life, the blessing, protection, and guidance of Kuan Yin will be with us. And you were never born in a place where there's no Dhamma. So we were born at a place where there's Dhamma. So I follow his advice. I've been continuing. My target is 100,000. Hopefully, I can get it done soon. I'm now at 93,000. I'm now at 93,000. So soon. Hopefully, I make an aspiration that, by this, may all sentient beings get the blessing, protections, and guidance from Kuan Yin. And may all sentient beings not be separated from the Triple Gem. And may all our retreats, our practical retreats, all our classes be smooth, and may all Kayana Mitas progress well in our cultivation.
Very good. No wonder. Now I understand. Where you have faith, where you have the resolve, things can happen. That's why the persistent perseverance, the faith, the sincerity will drive you. And when you do it, all this become possible. Because it brings forth the condition for me to recall Chunti, Puja. I remember one of the retreats that we were having there, when Brother Chia from Singapore was there. It seems he received the message. Chunti wants us to develop affinity. That's why we chanted. Then we develop a lot of affinity. Then I read through the summary of Chunti Puja. Oh, that one. You can do it. It can help you break karmic obstruction and all those things. But you have to chant very, very long. Don't know how many million times. So it's way beyond the 100,000 times. But people who have faith, they will do it. And when they do it, like Padmasuri say, when it becomes so stable and so clear, it's spontaneous from your nature, from the heart. It just come out. Then like the normal people chant maybe take you 3 minutes or 2 minutes. Then within 1 minute, you finish the Bei Zhou. So when you are familiar, when you have developed the stability of it, all this can happen. These are very conducive for people with faith. When you have faith, that's why Amitabha Buddha also, the training is based on faith. Then Kuan Yin has a lot of special perfection and Kuan Yin's nature, like the song Sister Amy Chan, not only Da Zhi Da Bei, a lot of other things. Then she developed this understanding so that her nature is very unique. Her nature actually manifests as nature's law, which is like many other Sammasambuddha who has developed the perfection of wisdom and virtue, the Pali, then they can invoke vows and develop the ability to convert their vow into nature's law. Like Kuan Yin's case, whosoever who sincerely call upon her name or chant the Paha or whatever or Poha, there will be a response. So in this case, like the Ling Chiu San Sifu and the Fa San people who advise them, well, these are Mahayana tradition. You really do it consistently until it become part of you. Then you develop the stability. Then your affinity with them is like Amitabha Buddha. The vow, the 48, 48 yuan, the great vow. If you can like develop affinity with them, then your vow and their aspiration, they match. They call it Xiang Jing. Then there will be a response because that is their vow. That is nature's law. That's why in Singapore, when I was doing the sharing, one lady, Mahayana lady, I think Brother TK sister, she very good. She asked me that question that I explained to her. Because my teaching is based on different understanding. Some, they develop through faith. In fact, faith, although it takes very long, but it's the easiest and fastest way to go in. That's why a lot of Mahayana, they realize, finally, of all the cultivation and the practices, they say pure land is the easier, Jing-tu. Why? Because you only need to consistently with the faith, the sincerity, Nian for, then develop the spiritual faculty, then develop the affinity, then make that vow. So when the vow and the aspiration match, then all this become possible. Then it will trigger. Then your cultivation all will be like supported because you have developed the ability to Xiang Ying, or we call it match. Then it become part of nature's law, and their nature that has the vow will manifest and it will support you everywhere. That's why my nature also knew this life. Affinity with great things are very important. But my nature's cultivation is slightly different in the sense that when my nature arises, I choose the wisdom way, like Sakyamuni, the wisdom way. So the wisdom way trigger all the understanding to make affinity. But my nature, my affinity, I develop through understanding. I don't really want to like do it through the faith and the memory. Doesn't mean that I don't have the faith. I have the faith. My faith also very strong, but I don't go and do all those things like those who follow Amitabha and the other Mahayana great beings. Because you can go into any of these three: faith, Sada or Virya. Virya means perseverance. Perseverance, the spiritual tenacity. Keep on going. Don't stop. So you can actually do the three is the best. You develop through the faith, then you persevere, then after that you develop the wisdom way. Then I realized the wisdom way, if you understand how to do it, it can speed up the whole thing. And the wisdom way is the fastest. That's why Sakyamuni took less than 4 Asangakaya Kapas. But it's not a matter of speed. Finally, it's the wonderful understanding that you will develop. That's why every cultivation, every perfection, every way has their own uniqueness, wonders, beauty, and all those things. So finally, it's up to the individual, the bodhisattva, who have the understanding and their affinity, their past, their whatever preference, it can be developed. Most important is the faith has to be strong. Then if you want to go the faith way, then you have to do the extreme of the faith way. Extreme here doesn't mean that torture yourself. No, extreme is you cultivate unending. You cultivate with a faith. You just surrender and have faith and allow it to manifest. It's just like the chanting Kuan Yin and Amitabha and all of that. Chant until singing. Then their nature and your nature match. And every line you come, the vow will take you along. You technically don't have to do anything. But that one take a long time to establish the faith. Then take a long time to establish the cultivation. Because from the faith you move to the virya, which is the diligence. That one also takes a long time. Then after that, of course, when it comes to the wisdom way, it becomes very easy. Very easy. Then you move in very fast. But if you develop through the wisdom way, chances of making error is very, very, I should say, more probable. Because the wisdom way you can debate on. Whereas the faith is a very safe way. You are protected on. It take you along. But the wisdom way is actually a challenge. The wisdom way you need to have that special past, the ability to recognize truth, to recognize them. But it also starts with faith on those people. But the extent of their faith is different. They cultivate the intensity of that faith until unshakable, but they don't go all out through the faith way. Then the one with the virya one also perseverance. They don't just do that. This wisdom way on, they develop the faith, they develop the affinity. Then when they know, they already have the necessary understanding and the condition, they will move. But once they move, they must also have their past to support them. Of course, some of the great beings to support them. But they don't really need the whatever, like the faith way one, their vow and their faith to match Xiang Yin. They don't really need that. Then when they start that movement and cultivation, these are the people who are quite gifted in their understanding. They can see the sign, they can understand, then they know they are on the right path. Then they keep on cultivating. Then when the wisdom way has been more or less established, I won't call it perfected, established. And then you won't get lost. You won't get lost. You will know what the Dhamma way is, the wisdom way is. Because the understanding is very difficult to come by people who go the wisdom way. Once they get that right, they will not go wrong. That's why they also can fulfill and manifest. So like I said, there is no particular which way is better. In fact, all way are the best. Whether you take the faith, the virya, or the wisdom way, they are all very beautiful. But the best is to combine them, Then as you cultivate, don't worry about the time. As long as you are established on the way, whichever choice of the virtue to start is up to the individual. If you want to do it from the faith, then you can learn from all those traditions that go by the faith. So like Pamasuri's case is very good. Where they chant until the Bei Zhou. Then later, of course, the Xin Jing also becomes so stable, line after line, like the monk who had the understanding. They will assure you, line after line, you won't get lost. You will be born in area with Dhamma, and Kuan Yin's nature will be there to support you. The affinity has been established. So this is the thing I want to add and share. Now, Pamasuri, you continue.
Actually, when I start follow Bratio, I found that the wisdom way is very, very profound, and I think I'm a slow learner, and my faith is I'm very slow actually. After following Bratio for more than 10 years and keep on attending classes, I feel that my progress is not as what I expected. I have some expectation now. I feel my faith is not strong enough. So that's why I start chanting. Actually, there were one day morning when I start doing my Zhao Ke chanting. I feel that the faith and the virya is coming from the
deep inside your nature.
Thought. Yes,
deep inside your nature.
It is not from the thought anymore.
You will know what is deep inside your the thing just come out.
And that
very, very deep inside.
And I realized what Bratio taught us, the 5 spiritual faculties. We always start with faith, virya, then only can come sati. Because without sati, we cannot do anything. Correct. There's no cultivation.
Yeah, there is the
particularly,
way to come out.
So that's why I pick this up, that when that monk told me, when Sinta Faster told me, you go and chant 108 times every day. That's why I pick it up to strengthen my faith and my virya, so that I can stabilize my sati, and I can move on to understand Brother Tio's teaching better. That's the main reason I pick up.
Sadhu. Rejoice, Sadhu. Very good. So today's sharing is very good, very useful. We can help a lot of people. You see, Dhamma can be approached from many ways, like I explained. So what you all have to understand is, different people has different paths, different conditioning, especially living beings. If you have karmic obstruction, it is like that, because it will come and obstruct you and give you a lot of situation and problem. But if you don't have the patience, the kanti, the perseverance to understand all this, to accept all this, you cannot move. That's why I rejoice when Sister Hemi was able to advise, suggest, that sister who, what was it earlier? They asked for apology on Jin Hao. You remember? And Jin Hao, because I just gave him some advice, because I realized the Singapore sharing, the chanting and the blessing that I promised to give them, because that was the first time when I saw the condition and everything. Then he wants to actually mean well for Kanyamita, cut off all the unnecessary one. And this the pre-puja, the chanting, all cut everything, then the closing puja also cut. Then only the Dhamma. Because to him, the Dhamma is very important, which is very true. But then, if you understand causes and conditions, there are certain people who actually need that, because I saw that I promised them and I did it. So I only requested that And he felt so bad. He thought he made a mistake and all that. But I said, no need. Then envy with the understanding. Don't worry. Like Brother Theo say, echo and flow. Let things be. No need to worry. So cultivation is like that, Pamasari. I want to bring out another point, which is to amalgamate all this understanding so that you all understand. You see, for your case, it's not like what your thought tell you that you're slow learner, you're very shy and all those things. It's actually a lot of things to do with your past. Where in the past, your cultivation is different. You have your karmic obstruction in different way. In fact, not only you, most people, they have. So if karmic obstruction is not broken, all this will still be there. Then you got one habitual tendency which you develop from the past. You want to progress, you're very sincere, you're very eager to progress. That one thing to know, that one is an obstruction, like you don't know. So that one actually prevents you from moving. What is important is to progress along the path of Dhamma. You only need to have three things: sincerity, faith, perseverance. So when you are sincere, when you have faith, you persevere, you don't try to know, you don't try to worry about progress. When you have faith, you trust that nature, everything will unfold. You have to do what you need to do. So if you have that condition to receive what is being shared and taught, then it will be, of course, a lot easier and faster. But for my sharing, my nature's sharing, I realize people who don't have the strong wisdom root on very difficult to learn my teaching. Your case is one of them, but not a problem. You see, what you need to understand is meditation needs to be developed with understanding. So the understanding, I find it, for certain people, is so difficult to come by because I realize karmic obstruction. So no problem. So what you need to do is, like I always teach, the three things. Ask for forgiveness to break the karmic obstruction. Even the yellow card has. If you do that, it will speed up the thing. Then you can also do what you do now, which is very good, where your faith one very strong and your Bei Zhou, everything, your affinity, Kuan Yin, will actually take you along and you don't have to worry. Then, like I said, establish this line, that understanding, that faith, and develop the cultivation of the Bodhi mind. Means plant the seed of Bodhi sincerely, through faith, deep faith, very strong faith. Then follow the yellow card. Make sure the right views are all there. Then make aspiration for causes and conditions for you, life after life. Whenever you come, whether you choose to come or you have to come, you will have this understanding. And that one, affirm it, make it very strong. Then later on, invoke power of merits for causes and conditions to fulfill all this, to bring about the possible fulfillment of all this understanding that you want to fulfill. Once you establish all this, then line after line, this understanding will take you along. Then together with your faith, you will actually progress very well. All this will unfold and become a living reality. Maybe in your this life too, later part. Then after that, you are guaranteed the way is all established. First, the faith will bring forth the affinity for you with the gripping. Then you will never take birth in those areas where there is no Dhamma. Then second, this yellow card vow will give you the causes and conditions to have all this right Dhamma understanding, right view. This right understanding and right view are not easy to combine. Once you understand this, that I share with you. These are the essence of the wisdom way that you need to understand. That's why everything is there. Affinity with great beings, break karmic obstruction, develop the faith, then persevere, the sincerity. Then after that, you also make the vow. The 5 stages of Bodhi mind development. Stage 1 is to plant the seed of Bodhi deep with understanding. So you do all this. It's like the faith way. Except this one demand more understanding. The understanding and the faith together no need to be very strong. But once it is understood, you do it with understanding, it becomes established. Then that sincerity and the faith and the perseverance will set the causes and conditions for all this to manifest. Then you just do. Don't like try to know or what. Once you have established it, just continue with the faith, perseverance. Then just do. So all these are possible. Every way is the same, all possible. But what I have taught you all in the yellow card, you realize actually is a summary of all those other ways put together. Except that this way, you don't need to go in too strong and intense into all the faith way or the virya way or the wisdom way. You establish the causes and conditions so that you don't deviate, so that this path is firmly established, just like preparing your mind, the garden, to train your mind. You need to prepare all this. Then when you are prepared, means you have the understanding there. Then when you do the understanding, the progress is automatic. It will be established. It will be there. Then life after life, whether sasana or no sasana, you are safe. You already established. That's why this way, you also have to develop it. The other faith way that suits your nature now, you also have to establish. Then asking for forgiveness. The 3 things that I always share. Ask for forgiveness to break karmic obstruction. That one is very important. In fact, every stage of your cultivation, your life, your practice, you have to do it until you reach very advanced Bodhisattva stage. The non-regression, the 8th stage. Unless you are there, you still have to ask for forgiveness, because karmic obstruction is not something that is easily understood by people. Even Sakyamuni Buddha, he shared with us in the Jataka story what he did in the past. When he became Samasa Buddha, he still had to clear them. Because this is what karma is. Because over the distant past, eons and eons and eons of birth and death, we never know what that form of mind is doing. So all this has to be understood and established. Then once you break the karmic obstruction, the path will like suddenly open up. Then you realize a lot of things can move through. A lot of understanding can move through. Then as you continue to develop, like today's sharing, as you continue to cultivate the whatever essential Dhamma that the Buddha has taught us. First, he said, don't underestimate a wholesome thought or a pure thought or a virtuous thought, because it destroys all seed of evil. That's why avoid all evil is very important. When you have a wholesome thought, when you start with awareness, you break the chain of delusion, the momentum of God. Then from there, understand that this pure thought or wholesome thought break the seed of all evil. Then from there on, it will never come forth. Then the 4 right effort. Somebody's mic on. Oh, yeah, it's okay. Then, when you do all this, it establishes you firmly on the way. on the cultivation. That's why you become different. Then your cultivation, especially when you plant the seed of Bodhi, the Bodhi mind, the 5 Bodhi mind development, you have to understand it. Bodhi mind that make the first move, that very, very strong faith, sincerity, and perseverance, the virya, the saddha, to go this way. You have to plant the seed of Bodhi, the Bodhi mind, deep in your nature, life after life. Where you take the Bodhisattva vow, you vow to take across all living beings. You vow, based on all the other 4 basic vows, to severe all suffering and dissection. To do that, you need to have wisdom, patience, everything. That's why the 10 perfection all will follow. Then the third one is, you vow to perfect all wisdom, to cultivate all wisdom extensively until you are able to finally perfect all virtue and wisdom. Then after that, to perfect the 10 perfection leading to Sammasambuddhahood. These 4 basic vows will create all the necessary condition or impetus for you to come, to have the understanding, to cultivate, to develop all the training for you to perfect yourself to become Sammasambuddha. And they are all established in the Bodhisattva vow. That's why it's very beautiful. Then later on, through what we share, all the Bodhisattva, you can have your own miscellaneous vow, your own unique vow. You add them in. Then after that, you can also have all the other understanding, not only break karmic obstruction, cultivate affinity with great being, all this, you can establish them. Then there are also other very powerful, what we call skillful means that can allow us to establish ourselves. Like you must have the 3 pure precepts of the Bodhisattvas that will take you along. These 3 pure precepts are higher than the advice of the Buddha to normal sentient beings. You need to develop the understanding of what this thing is and perfect yourself. So all this, once you establish, you are safe, you are home, then your cultivation becomes guaranteed, easy. And this is the sasana, the window of opportunity that you have. That's why make full use of it, develop the understanding of it. Then when all this fall into place, you are already established and become very different. Then life after life, you don't have to worry. That nature's path has been established and you will never fall again. This is what you all need to do this time, because this is the condition that my nature has. Then whatever you all did this life, cultivate the affinity with my nature, that one also will benefit you, because in future you will come to know what his nature is and how it manifests. No different from all the other great beings. They have their understanding, the potency, the power, the efficacy, and all these things. So establish all this understanding are very important and very beautiful. That's why today my nature rejoins with all the condition and the understanding. I think it's meant to be. That's why Ingbi, when he texts me in FPC, I knew it's meant to be. Something is going to happen. At that time, my nature knew it is good. So I agree straight away. Then I called Pamasri, he said, no problem. Then she tried to contact Alicia, but I think Alicia may not be around. But it's okay. At least we got it done. And the way we share today is very beautiful. This is what they want you to understand. How the way can be developed and established. The way is, like they say, 八万四千法门. limitless. You can approach from any direction. You must have the understanding to develop it. So don't worry, Mama Sri. You are beautiful. You are already developing it correctly. So do what you are good at. Then after that, supplement what you have done with what I shared today. Then you will be able to have both to actually enhance your whatever cultivation in the future. So all this will establish you. Where I can sense she got this worry or fear that if she don't do it this time, this window gone. How? Don't worry. Because understanding is very important. I always say meditation has to be done in understanding, cultivation has to be done. When you understand all this, then you just do. And what you have been doing is very good. That's why your ability to do all this chanting, this is the understanding of faith way that need to be established. Because for me, on my own, I don't teach that one. So you all don't hear from me. But because of condition, all this manifest. But my nature can explain all this. Then my nature understand all this cultivation. That's why where you approach, where you come from, my nature can understand. But my design is to share the wisdom way. That's why those who can have the affinity to understand, they progress very fast, they move very fast. But although it's for the wisdom way, but you can learn from my nature anyway that is unique to you. You don't have to stick to wisdom way because no point. Like I said, wisdom way is not easy. Can go wrong easily. Can defeat easily. Because the wisdom way is so hard to establish. Your wisdom, there is nothing apart from cultivating that wisdom way to actually take you along. There is no faith behind and all those things. But the faith that we establish is the basic faith leading to the stability of it, enough to move the wisdom way, then you go. But these people need to have the army of a wisdom way cultivator like Sakyamuni and all those things. So every way is different. That's why we have all the established three traditions, the faith way, the virya, and the wisdom way. So if you look at Yao Sifo, Jisang Wang, they all have their own unique way. They actually take up the Bodhisattva vow, and they vow in such a way that it prevents them from like fulfilling the perfection and stop doing the work. They purposely make the vow to make them continue to do that thing for very long, and they are not like we call not so wise. No, they are very wise. They purposely make the vow to obstruct themselves so that the conditioned world can establish that type of living beings to continuously come back and do all those things. And they have their purpose because they fit in differently. Like Yao Sifo is mainly for health and all those things. Where you need a healthy body, you need to have affinity with those cravings. Then Tizawang Pusa is like, if he don't go and do this work, who will have the health beings? It will not be easy. Then Amitabha, because of that strong perfection, that very strong faith and understanding, he established the Pure Land, which is very unique, very, very unique. Then Sakyamuni Buddha is, he go the wisdom way. That's why he set up his lineage, that type of tradition and all this thing. Then other Buddha, other Samasamana, they are different too. So all this is just for the benefit of all Kanyamitas and all those who have the understanding to actually develop the training and understanding to establish themselves along the path of Dhamma so that when they come again, they will have all this understanding. So all this understanding can actually become very beautiful, very wonderful when you evolve them, when you refine upon them and further cultivate to stabilize all this. Then later on you will develop your own, like I said, all of your virtue, your whatever wisdom, understanding, perfection. In time of tribulation, you can evoke power of merits and put them to good use. That's why you must cultivate extensively all the essential Dhamma, the virtue, the wisdom, the understanding, the whatever wholesomeness you must do until they become very extensive. Then that force, that perfection, that wisdom can enable the nature's being to establish a lot of things to help living being in the future. So all these are the sharing that you will never find in books. Only great beings can tell you all these things. Okay, good. So exactly 6 o'clock. You all got anything to add? Maybe. You can still continue a bit more. No problem.
No, but Brother, I actually did to pick up this chanting. It comes like it's not that I want to do it.
Yeah,
it's so natural.
Naturally established.
It's inside me. I want to do it, and for no reason, I just want to do it.
You know why or not? Because of your faith. Then because of what you have done. Then when you make those aspirations, and vow, without you knowing, actually all these are evil for you to go this way. Then this way is more suitable for you. That faith, you can do it. That's why it happened.
But actually, wisdom way is still faster.
Don't worry about that. The wisdom will come. You have to understand all this is what you need to go through. Like I said, the wisdom way cannot manifest for you because of your past. Do you know why when I say past is the coming of? But you have been learning all this, taught this thing for very long, very, very long. And it has the coming obstruction and the thing established for. So for this type of being, you really need to go the faith way first to establish that one.
But Brother, I feel changes after I.
Of course.
I feel a lot of changes.
You will feel a lot of changes. That's why after that, all this understanding will become different. It will unfold. Because when that karmic thing is not taken care of without the faith and all things.
Because Brother, remember I report to you when every time when in the class, the moment you start talking, I just doze off. But nowadays no more.
No more. Sadhu. That's why the coming obstruction come, you will know. It cannot go in or no. My nature also no. So I like just let things be. Because my nature, I don't interfere. I don't go and purposely like, hey, you cannot like that. I won't do that. But when you manifest certain condition, then there is condition that I will say. When I say it's like very blunt or very cock. It really hit. You ask NBS, I remember the first retreat, she cried. He came and asked me, why this night she born like that? Don't believe my all those things. She cried.
No more. And then during the lying meditation, every time the moment I lie down, I feel something stuck at my chest area.
Relax. No more. The
thing is
all this will clear by itself. That's why I say you don't try to know, don't try to do, don't allow the mundane mind to come back and interfere. Because all this is what delusion is. Before you have the understanding, you use the mundane mind, go and analyze, go and reason, you should know. Like ain't be he know, let things be the observer, understand, let it unfold. The world is the world. Condition like that, things will be like that. People are just the way they are. That type of wisdom is not easy one because for your case, but because your past cultivation is all knowledge on and thought based on, and very difficult for you to have that open mind, that wisdom way to unfold all this. So now you start to understand. That's why it is very good sharing today, because like you can feel for yourself, a lot of things has changed. It's no longer like last time. This is what progress is, especially after you and relative has helped do a lot of these things.
Brother nowadays, what Brother say? 那个 Brother 讲的东西可以精细啊，
可以进了，也能够慢慢了解。
以前 Brother 讲，它里面一直
resist，
它一直在顶嘴的是咩？这样的咩
？You already know why. That's why all this is just the way it is. Because in the past, you have this type of karmic thing that come, and then when this thing manifests, it's not to say I don't want to help or you cannot learn. No, not like that one. It's because, like the Buddha said, whatever that arise, there are causes and conditions behind. So my nature is, I don't go and do things one another. People ask me to, hey, brother, you go and help lah. Hey, you go to, I cannot. No condition, nothing happen. Even my own loved one. You ask my daughter, they know my wife. I don't say much. But when they got condition, I will explain. I will develop the understanding for them to work. That is what nature is. Otherwise, the mundane mind will go back to the old way. Where you want things your way, you want to help. Who wants to help? The thought want to help. Because, like, you remember the 4 things that the Buddha cannot do, that sharing? 无言人不可度. Those who don't have affinity, you cannot help others. You cannot do them. It's not to say the Buddha not loving and not compassionate. You need to establish affinity, the condition. But this time you don't worry. As Kayamita, you have established so much affinity with my nature. That's why you look back, you check back, my nature also know. Without the past, you have encountered with my nature also. And some come through Kuan Yin, all those things, of course, I already shared. Some, of course, come through the food I eat. And that one, more charm, that one got to do more work. Because if through the food I eat, I vow to take care of a girl. And that one, but that one wouldn't be so serious. That one through the food one, maybe they will continue to come back and make offering, then they disappear. They haven't established themselves on the Dhamma way. But through this, in the future, they will come back. They will come back. So everyone is different. Condition different. There is a lot of understanding behind all this. That's like, as a bodhisattva who cultivates this way to Samasa Buddhahood, the cultivation is so different compared to the sainthood way, where you establish like the 无量义经, the Sutra of innumerous meaning. You have to expose yourself to a lot of causes and conditions to develop the understanding. Everything needs to be understood. You have to expose yourself to many, many eons and eons of birth and death, and encounter a lot of Samasa Buddha, great beings and cultivators. Then all this become your experience, your cultivation, your perfection. And through all this, that's why my nature comes. A lot of people ask me, hey, brother, how you teach? People very funny, all kind of you. You don't have that nature, you cannot teach. Otherwise, you think I can survive for so long? Answering all these people. Everyone is so different. That's why they come. You realize or not, everyone I advise is different. The approach is different. But the basic teaching is the same. The basic understanding is the same. Like the whole Thursday class, the 5 mental hindrance, the 5 spiritual faculty, the 3 evil root, and all those things on it, center around that. But very, every time is different, approach is different. But so much thing to absorb. This is what Dhamma is. Because as it evolves, as it moves, your consciousness becomes better, and you develop the ability to understand. Then my sharing becomes different again. Otherwise, it cannot go there. Well, go there is a wasting of time. It's like the Mandarin saying, 跟牛弹琴. The new is a new. You play beautiful music also no use. You speak what type of Dhamma also no use. But as the new become more and more wise, more and more adaptable to the cultivation, and then you can speak the Dhamma, where the understanding will be there and they can receive. So all this need causes and conditions. So when you establish all this, then you have the understanding. That's why wisdom way, you really need to understand that 因缘法，一切有为法，无为法。You have to understand both sides. That's why my nature is very good at both of the understanding, and I can teach you how to live life. That is what my nature is, because I understand both sides, and I understand all those things that is not written in the book about the teaching. So this is where the beauty of meeting a great being who have that nature and the understanding. You will be able to learn all those that is not shared before, not in the book, not in the text, commonly found. You cannot find it. But only during the sasana you can encounter such being. Then, like the Sutra say, 人生难得经已得，佛法难闻经已闻。因为 add in 正法难闻经已闻。That one is very important. Because 佛法 can be any type of Dhamma. 佛法，正法。That's why you remember 这个Maitreya, when the message came, he repeated by 请你把正法传下去。He never used the word 佛法传下去。No, he used the word 正法 and my nature knew what he was telling me. Because he know I understand this teaching, the 正法。Otherwise, why you go approach a lay person like me? But that time I knew what that thing is he was referring to. That's why we have to end here. It's already 6:11, so maybe some other time. So we must rejoice. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. With the good condition and the wholesomeness. We should thank Sister before starting off. Then Sister Pamasuri for having the condition to come and help chant, lead the Bei Zhou and the Heart Sutra. So this is like all meant to be a prelude to what we are going to go through at Cameron Highland. That's why this, whatever we may call it, they call it what, the silent temple meditation, means the not official one, unofficial one. We are very blessed to have that condition. So we see how it goes. So it's like it's a prelude to that, because the numbers that they limit, which turn out to be a blessing in disguise, where we have to choose the best of the best to go there. And those who have the condition to be there will be there. Then when I share this time, because there is no more new people, I don't have to revert to like last time to cater for all. My nature don't have to do that. Then this time when I move, the movement will be very different. That's why you also come to realize that Thursday class sharing are all very different already, with all the short notes and all those things. The establishment of it. Oh, maybe I have to give you the short note. You didn't have, I give you a copy. Okay, let us do the closing puja. Akasaka Chapumaka Devanaga Mahindika Punyang Tang Anumoditwa Chirang Rakantu Lokasasana Itta Wata Chamehi Sampadan Punya Sampadan Sabbe Deva Anumodantu Sabba Sampati Siddhya Idang me nyatina hotu sugita hontu nyatayo. Idang me nyatina hotu sugita hontu nyatayo. Idang me nyatina hotu sugita hontu nyatayo. Devo asatu kalena sasu sampati hetu cha Fito bhavatu loko cha raja bhavatu dhammiko imena punyang kamena mame bala samagamo sattang samagamo hotu yawa nirvana patiya sadhu sadhu sadhu. Okay, you can now pay respect mindfully to Lord Buddha, Guanyin Bodhisattva, and all the worthy ones. And we shall end the whole Zoom session. Thank you for your participation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Pratyo,
Ah,
it's a very wonderful sharing today.
Oh, sadhu.
I'm so
Yeah. Full of joy, huh? Oh, the mic, Pichi, you repeat again your sound.
How we can, what I wanted to say.
Can you off the mic and on the mic again?
It was a very, very deep and
Yeah. Okay.
can you hear me?
Okay, now can.
Yeah. What I wanted to say was, actually, it was a very good sharing today, Brad.
Yeah. Very beautiful.
So happy. I tell you, my nature was so happy to hear
Oh,
all this.
sadhu.
And I would like to take this opportunity to also thank Sister Pamasuri and Sister Ingbi for creating the causes and conditions for us today to be able to hear all this sharing. It is such an inspiration for all of us. Thank you so much, Bratio, and
we also rejoice, huh, PJ? Thank you.
all Kalamitas. Good evening. Bye.
Sadhu. Thank you for your sharing, which is very useful, very helpful. You give faith to a lot of people too. So sadhu. So I saw Puja also around, Manyan also around, and PG. The rest is left. Sadhu. Okay, thank you so much. So we will end the Zoom, PG. Thank you. Sadhu.